Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's November 14th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And huge rally day again today. It was based on the CPI numbers. The most of the rally happened in about a 5 minute span. I think it was 4 minutes and about 15 bars. And then from there, it was like a big spike in channel, and from there we just kind of chopped higher from there. And then I'll show it to you in a minute, but it's a big spike in channel. But most 60, almost 70 points of the 100-point move or so happened in 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. It was a 4 minute move. So, what worries me a little bit, I mean, as long as the market's going up, we're going with it. We're in extremely overbought territory now, so be careful. This thing could turn on a dime. And what concerns me about this CPI numbers is they're pulling out groceries and gasoline. Any of your diesel, any kind of your fuels and that's the two most important or biggest expenses of Americans have. They have to feed themselves, and you have to have fuel for your automobiles to get to work and back every day. So I think these numbers are smoke and mirrors. I don't trust them because if you look at the fuel, you break out the fuel and you break out the groceries, both of them still went up again. So more inflation. So, I just think they give you the numbers they want to give you to make you think whatever, and that's what it is. So, things are not rosy. There's a lot of negative things hanging over the market. So, anything could happen. As long as it's going up, if we want to make money, we got to go with it. But just make sure you're trading properly. You're putting your stops where they go when they're there. And if something crazy happens and the market tanks, your stop will be in place, and even if you got some slippages, the worst happens, you lose an extra point or two, and which is always better than getting wiped out. We can always recover from a loss, but you don't want to get wiped out by not trading with stops. So hopefully, if you're following our strategy, you follow the rules, but you'd be surprised how many people don't. They move their stops, they give the market more room. And it works a few times and they get rewarded for it and they keep doing it and eventually it burns you. That's what happens. So be careful with that. But anyway, let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart, go through the trades and show you what it looks like, and we'll wrap this week up. Or we'll wrap this. Okay, I had a slight interruption, but here we are. Couple of things. We talked about it. I believe it was yesterday, or was it yesterday? Or I believe we talked about the gap on the chart. This is where we closed yesterday. This is where we closed at 8:30 this morning. Or I'm sorry, this is where we opened at 8:30 this morning. So if you're not looking at an extended trading hours, you wouldn't see this part right here, and you would just close here and open up here, and there would be a big gap. And so generally prices try to fill those gaps really quickly. Now we didn't fill it today. They tried to bring it lower, couldn't fill it. So but usually they fill these pretty good, so it wouldn't surprise me tomorrow if we sell off and fill this gap, especially being so overbought right now. But we'll see. As long as the market's going up, we're going to be buying. As long as it's going down, we're going to be selling. So just because it usually fills the gap and we're expecting to fill the gap doesn't mean it will fill the gap. It means that's the high probability play, and we'll watch for it. But in the meantime, we'll trade whatever the market gives us. So. That's how my thinking goes. That's what I'm expecting to probably happen. Tomorrow or the next day, they'll probably try to fill this gap. But if it doesn't happen and we keep going up, I'm going to keep going with it and buying with it. So just because the market won't always do exactly what we expect. 95% of the time it will, but there's that 5 to 10% it won't do what we expect it to do based on price action rules. And when it doesn't, you reevaluate and you keep going with the flow. So, but anyway, here it is. Let's zoom in here, go through the trades. We didn't quite get the measured move either. I think you can see we came up short there. I mean that would be a big move to move 260, almost 70 point moves legs in one day without having a bigger correction. If we corrected back down 50% and then went up 60 more, it wouldn't be that big a day. But I mean, correcting from here, you're looking at Actually, we should have been measuring from here. You're looking at you'd be looking at almost a 140 point move, 130 point move here. But there it is. And you can see this was the news item. The blue came at right up. So you want to be out a little bit before 7:30. So really, there's no trades this day. Just sit and wait till this is over. And really, you could start trading anytime after right through here. So really, within 4 minutes, it was pretty much over. Just look at that. I think it was 14 bars or something. 16 bars. It lasted 3 minutes and 22 seconds. So pretty fast and furious move. But it jumps up, 2 legs up, corrects 2 legs back. And this is when you know you really have a lot of buying or a lot of selling, because it corrects and it can't even come straight back to the EMA. It only can work side. You got one leg down and the second leg just goes sideways till it hits that EMA and then it rallies. Now, normally I'd tell you not to buy out of this, but you can almost guarantee there's probably a 99.5% chance that prices are going to retest that strong of a move. They're going to retest those highs. So once you get this triple test and you touch the EMA and you get a bullish bar, maybe you buy there. So you can see it. I guess you can see that. It just touches that EMA. Doesn't even push through it. It bounces right off of it. And it shoots up, comes back, gives you a first entry, and you can draw your trend line there, and then it pulls back again. So when it breaks higher there, it gives you a second entry long, and it actually breaks lower and turns up. You could trade that on the engulfing bar. And again, you don't have a lot of room to that high, but this is a strong trend. You can almost guarantee we're going to retest that high. It shoots up, pulls back here, and gives you, that's a failed second entry short. And so if it breaks above that, you got a failure. And again, it confirms that trend line now for sure. Pulls back here, and now you realize this is a strong trend. When you start to see these little bars that just keep going higher with lots of stems and no pull, the corrections are only a few ticks or something, and it can't get through the trend line, those are strong trends. So any good signal bar that comes back to that trend line, you can take. So there's one there, there's one there. This is a little more advanced now, so don't go trying to do this live if you're new to trading. Your goal now should be to take the sure things, the easy things we teach, the second entries, the triple test, that kind of thing, with the second entries with the trend, 2 legs back with a good signal bar. But as you get better, you'll start to recognize these kind of trends. And here's another that came back, but notice it didn't break higher, so you wouldn't have got trapped on that one. And it's coming down. I wouldn't be taking any short. We do have I think we got a new high there. Let me just verify. I'm pretty sure we got a new high right there. Yeah, easily got a new high right there. So this thing could sell off, but instead it just goes sideways. That's another sign of a strong trend. Like I said, with the little small, when you can't sell off and it just goes sideways on your correction, and usually those corrections will last about an hour or so. Let's see how long this one lasts. It started right there. It ends right there. 43 minutes, almost an hour, 66 bars, and then it starts up again. So it really probably didn't start trending up till right there. So let's just see how far that is, how long that was. That's 47, 48 minutes, something like that. But anyway, we're just working sideways here. Here you get a little failed breakout, good signal bar. You got a triple test there, really. I like going long there. I made it green. It's not perfect, but I think we're gonna make a new high on this green trend line right here too. And we may have. Started this one off these closes here. It hadn't even doesn't even have a second touch till here, and it got confirmed here. So we don't know anything about that yet. We're just playing this range. And this tiny one here, and you get the failed breakout. Maybe you take that one. There's not a lot of room back to the highs, but we're probably going to retest this double top here. And sure enough, It keeps going up. I don't see anything else in here that I want to trade until you actually get a second entry here right off the midline, and that's the first break of this green channel. So we'll probably come back at least to test the high, and probably may make a new high. So I like that one. This one is close to being blue, but it's not perfect. So you could also look at it like congestion, a little failed breakout. So it'll probably come back in and go to the other side again, and it ends up making the new high, breaking out the other side and failing. No setups to go short. And then now you got your first bounce here. And notice that bounced above that line and went higher. That means that this trend line might be right. So make sure you kind of adjust it there if you're not right on that close. I don't even think I had to move mine. Runs up, breaks out again, but no setup to go short. And look how it bounces higher again, right off your trend line. And it actually makes a low, goes higher, then breaks lower and fails and turns up. I wouldn't trade that on the engulfing bar because of all the stem. If it was a full-bodied bar or mostly full-bodied bar, yeah, you could trade it on the engulfing bar if you wanted. But I would call this, I'd wait for this to close. Very bullish. Just go long there. As long as you got room to scalp out. You've really broken out twice up there, so you're probably okay just to go long right there. You get a higher low here, but I think that's, with that being right back into the resistance and it holding there on that bar, I would wait and see if you want to see it tested on the upper side and give you a good bar, but it doesn't. You do get a trend line set there, and you don't get it confirmed until way up here. And notice what happens. You get a pullback. First entry, pullback, and when it breaks above that bar, it's a second entry long. That's right off the trend line, right off the EMA, right off. It's a second entry long, nice signal bar. That's where you want to go long. It actually pulls back and gives you a failure here, but it doesn't break above that. It gives you a little bitty. The only good thing going for that is 4 ticks, but I wouldn't trade that. You actually would have to trade it on this bar, I think. So you just really have to skip that. As tempting as that is with such a small bar, if it breaks above it, it's probably going to be a failure, but I would just sit tight. And pulls back. You recognize again that this is one of those strong trends with lots of little small bars and lots of dojis and stems and very shallow corrections that just keeps going higher. You get a good signal bar right there. You actually get a new low, so you get a first entry, second entry that fails. So that's a continuation pattern. I like going with that one. That's a good move. And then we're working sideways again. You get a break here finally. Don't be trying to go short yet. Runs up, you get a break and a first entry. There's actually a second entry there, but don't trade that. It works, but you can't trade it on that little congested area right there. You get a failed breakout. Now you got to close and 2 legs up, but I wouldn't go short yet because you don't know where this upper line is really. You might have drawn it there, and so you could get trapped here. This would have worked, and it was a failed breakout, and it is a close outside and 2 legs, but it's like 4 ticks. I wouldn't take that trade. You probably could argue for it to be green. Looking at it now after the fact in real time, I didn't pay that much attention to it. I just was thinking you don't want to go short. But when you look at that and the way it played out, maybe you ride that back to the EMA or to retest the breakout area if you have enough room to scalp out. I wouldn't go long here on this bar though, just yet either, because this is still in play, this khaki channel coming down. You get a higher low here, but it's moved too far. Too congested. This is a first entry, and then it turns down here and turns back up. It is a second entry long, but that's so congested. I just sit tight. And again, you don't want to go short yet. I just don't see anything to go long until finally you get a leg down, break outside, second leg down, and a nice bullish bar. And there's also a triple test across there. So if it breaks above that on a second entry with a triple test, we're on a strong bullish day. You'll probably get a scalp out of it at a minimum, and it may run all the way back to the highs, which it does. And then it turns. I wouldn't sell anything yet, though, even though you got a break and a move higher. I wouldn't sell anything. Again, you get another triple test. another second entry. It's kind of a repeat pattern over here. Um, I'd probably take that trade. And this actually breaks lower and fails and turns up. You could trade that maybe on the engulfing bar. It's such a small bar. It's only 4 ticks. I think it gives you less risk than waiting on this to close. Um, I mean, if this was a bigger bar with that much stem, I'd say no way. But right there, that gives you more room to scalp out in case it fails right there. So I'd be okay with that. If there's enough room, let's just check it on the engulfing bar, which there's not really, but there's definitely not here. But the reason I like that was because it's a triple test, it's a second entry, and we're in a big uptrend. And this is almost a repeat pattern. It's smaller, but it's a repeat pattern of this. So I like that trade. You might let it break higher and try to get a little better entry and see maybe even on this bar, on the engulfing bar. But even if you waited for this to close, let it break higher and see if it backs up and gives you room just in case. Um, and again, I would tell you probably not to sell here, but it's a failed breakout the upside and it's a very bearish bar, and we've tested the top 3 times without even coming back to the midline. So that tells you it's a really strong trend, but you may get another leg down like this. So I'm hesitant to market. I just don't think you need to go short there, because if you don't see this, what happened? I mean, that's what you're looking at. That looks really risky to me. So turns out to be a nice move. We get a few. I just wouldn't go short in here. You get a break, a new low, and you actually get couple of swings down to a new low, and then it rallies and it's going higher again now. Now you get a first entry, second entry short here, but it's on the wrong side of the EMA to trade it as a failure. You might just look at that as a first entry, and this is a second entry. If you did that when this broke lower first and turns up, maybe you trade that as a failure on the engulfing bar. I don't think you can go long up here because it's too close to the upper side. It would have worked either way, but if you're going to take that, I think you got to do it on the engulfing bar. We just keep chopping higher. If you recognize this is a nice trend, any good signal bar off the trend line, and you can see it looks just like, you see all the little stems and the corrections are real shallow. There's another one right there. There's even one more right here, but it's got so much stem on it, I wouldn't take that. There's really not a correction there. There's really not one. Yeah, this one actually makes a lower high, so you could consider that a correction. This is not really a correction. It makes a equal bottom, but it's still part of this move. And so if you look at it like that, you shouldn't enter there. Then you get another triple test here. It's just a first entry, but it's a triple test. It looks a little congestion. I marked it green because we're probably going to make a new high at a minimum, and we may get back in the channel and keep going. Who knows? So I think it's a little risky because of the congestion, but it's a triple test in a strong uptrend, and this is the first break of this blue channel. So at a minimum, we're probably going to try to make a new high here. So I like going long there. Again, it's a little aggressive. But then suddenly it turns down. You get a first entry, shoots right through the MA, pulls back, fails. If it turns down there, as long as you got room back to here, trade that, and it might keep going lower. We might make another leg down like that. We don't end up making that big of a leg down, but it tries. You just got a lower high here, lower high, first entry, lower high, first entry. You can't really trade those first entry. And then next thing you know, it's reversed again. No entries down here that I like. And it just keeps going. I don't see anything here that I like. Again, it looks like a strong trend here, but you don't really get any corrections back to the trend line. You get a break, move to new high, and then we start selling off again. And we did move to a new high on the blue channel. So this was your retest, and I just don't see anything in there that, none of these really make a new low here except for this one, and that looks too congested. So I just don't see anything there that would probably warrant after 1 o'clock. It's getting late in the day. I don't see anything there would warrant an entry. This one right here, going back and looking at this one, that really didn't make a correction either. Well, actually, it did, and then you're going higher from there. So same thing there. So that's why I marked those. Um, I guess you could make that argument here too. But you're just getting so far away from. I just wouldn't do it that late in the day. You got to be real careful with that. It's just a rule you can look at that when you know you got a strong trend here. I'd probably want the signal bar to be the low of the like a regular signal bar. I think you'd be smarter to follow that rule, and so that would remove that one and that one. Now that one makes a new low, and it's a reversal too. So failure. Actually, that's not because it went higher there and then turned down. So you're just playing that really as a pullback and a confirmation of the trend line. What's looking like another strong trend again. But I'd make sure these strong bars to the upside, or if you're taking one to the downside, um, because it's a strong trend off the key entry point, I would make sure they make a swing low, and I think that's the better rule to follow, and that'll save you some headaches. So, like there's one makes a new low, there's one. See, this one doesn't make a new low. All of these made new lows, so they're all okay. But anyway, that's how I saw it today. Really strong day. We'll see what tomorrow. Will we fill those gaps tomorrow? We'll just have to see. There's no telling. We'll have to wait and see what tomorrow brings. But just be prepared that prices we're very overbought. Let's go back and look at that daily chart one. You can see we're way well overbought, and first close outside that trend line in a while. So what happens from here, we'll have to wait and see. But there's a good chance we could turn down soon, and we may do that tomorrow and attempt to fill that lower gap. So just be aware of that gap being there. Trade what you see, but if you get a chance to trade if it turns down and we start trending lower, look for that gap to be the first target and then reevaluate from there. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.